I'm cooked. Like, this is fried. Like, who is Efosa? Imagine if you grew up your whole life having a skill or having an ability that was super highly touted. So then, boom, that then gets taken away from you. Who are you? Me and my friends have this joke about like my music not being underground, but it being like subterranean. You can spread the gospel, you can make it sound pleasing to the ear, and the best ones are the ones who are able to blend it together and do it really well. If I didn't have Christ, bro, I would not be doing this. I would have never acquired the boldness to even put myself in a position to chase a dream like this. I genuinely was standing on the roof of my dorm, and I was like, Lord, like, how could you redeem me now?
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Untuck Your Cross. And today I have my first music artist on the podcast, Efosa.
How y'all doing?
Hey Efosa, thank you so much for coming here. Like I said, you'll be the first music artist on the podcast. And I specifically wanted you here because you being in the music industry, what are your thoughts about being a Christian in that space? Do you think that's an easy place to be Christian and bold about your faith?
Definitely not. I would say like, you kind of, as a Christian artist, you kind of close yourself off to a certain demographic of listeners just because like our faith is not popular, you know? So I have friends tell me all the time that like Christian music in and of itself is already niche. And then like the type that I make is even more niche. So like me and my friends have this joke about like my music not being underground, but it being like subterranean, like even lower than that. So it's not an easy thing by any means, but I feel like it's very fulfilling. And I feel like our space has kind of come a long way in the past couple of years. So
where have you seen it grown since when you started? Because how long have you been doing music now?
I posted my first song in 2022.
Okay.
So it'll be 4 years in like July, I want to say.
Yeah.
4 years or 4 years in June. Actually, no, it's been 4 years. I posted my first song in May.
Oh, okay, fair. Well, congratulations. 4 years, that's a big, huge milestone.
Thank you.
Like looking back to like that first song that you dropped 4 years ago and now, where have you seen that growth been?
Definitely in the quality. I would say like not just with my music, but with like the space overall. I feel like everybody's kind of locking in, you know what I'm saying, trying to make better music. Because, Lord knows that back in the day, 2022, 2020, 2021, trying to find like good Christian music that wasn't like corny was very difficult. Like if you look back at my old playlist, it's actually the playlist I still use to this day. I want to say like a third of it is just Caleb Gordon, because like that was the only artist that I actually liked at the time, you know. But I feel like in the past, maybe honestly 2 or 3 years, there's been a huge jump in like quality, and like a lot of people are bringing a lot of different sounds to the space. Some people are crossing over from the secular space and coming in and, you know, doing their big one. You know, other kids are, you know, rising up and they're inspired by like different sounds, and they come and they bring that to the space. And I feel like it's been very good, been very fruitful. So
what do you think has caused that jump in quality and just more people coming into the space?
That's a good question. I honestly think that like quality has become more important. You know, I feel like there was a very large emphasis on just getting the message out, but there wasn't really any consideration on how we packaged it up. We were kind of treating music like evangelism, which I guess it is, like it is to an extent, but it's also like, nah, people sometimes just want to like sit back and just listen and catch a vibe, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, you can do both. Like you can spread the gospel, you can make it sound pleasing to the ear. I think that there was just more emphasis on one over the other. But now it's kind of like more of a balance, I would say.
Is that something that you still struggle with between finding the line between evangelism and also music that is enjoyable?
I think so. It's kind of something you have to be conscious about, because you can make the most theology dense song ever, but it might suck and like no one would want to listen to it, right?
Right.
But then you might also make like the most like fire song, but there's nothing pointing back to Christ in it, and then you've just made a secular song at that point.
That's
fair.
fair.
So I think that the Christian artist has to be conscious about, you know, how to blend the two together, and the best ones are the ones who are able to blend it together and do it really well. So,
is there a process that you go through to help you blend that? Like, what's your process when you're writing these songs? Are they just freestyle, or do you, like, what's your process with that?
I would say, like, most of my inspiration just comes from my living life. Like, as I live this Christian life, as I walk, like, my life down that path, I'm naturally going to come across experiences that I'm going to want to talk about. and I'm always talk about them through the lens of a Christian. So it's not like something super, super difficult just because I'm pulling from real world experience. Now, when it comes to like my actual creative process, most of my songs are like freestyles to an extent. I'm kind of just like, I'll just say my line, boom, say my next line, boom, say my next line, say my next line, say my next line, and then kind of just connect it all together type of thing. I've taken a stab at like writing in the past. I kind of find it difficult though. Like, I don't know why. It's like, maybe it's because I'm like an all-in type of guy. So it's like, I kind of want to just throw myself into the process. Like, I'm not really the type of dude to sit back and like deliberate first before making a move, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Now, take me back to that before that first song came out. Where were you at? What made you want to start making music? What was the process to actually finally posting that first one?
Shoot, man. Okay, so I came to Christ when I was 15. I'm 20 now. You know, I want to say maybe for the first year, I was really just, you know, building up my badges, man. You know what I'm saying? Just getting it right. But I really had no interest in like putting myself out there like that. I was very comfortable. Like, you could even ask Tristan. Like, we used to sit down and talk all the time about how like I kind of wanted to just have a comfortable life. I didn't really care for spotlight or anything like that. Like, I'd much rather just get a cushy desk job and just like, I don't know, make my bread, take care of my family, maybe live on a farm one day. Like, that was lucky what we used to talk about. And that was cool with me. But like, I felt as I was continuing to grow in the faith, more of a pull to like do something with it. Like, Tristan and I were, my best friend, we were street preaching like at the time, and that was really fulfilling and that was really fun to do. But I just felt like I could do more. And obviously he branched into the clothing space of things. And, you know, I kind of one day just sat down and asked myself, like, shoot, like, what could I do with, like, these giftings I have to, you know, further the kingdom, man? And I know that I was exploring a lot of Christian music at the time. I was finding some really good songs. I was combing through a lot of really bad ones, though. And I remember I used to show my brothers, like, my songs and not my songs, but like the songs in my playlist. And I used to show my friends too, and they would always tell me like, "Bro, this sucks, bro. Like, this is trash." And shoot, one day I showed my brother this one song, and he's like, "Bro, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like even you could do better than this." And like, he meant it as a joke, but I kind of took it as a challenge, and that's where it all started. So it was like a combination of inspiration from, you know, things I'm seeing my peers do, and I guess a little bit of banter with my brother, and that's how I started.
That makes sense. So did music come naturally to you? Like, were you doing that before your friend suggested that, or is that something that you just like decided to go try out and see if you were any good at it?
I mean, like, I had always been interested in music. I was an avid listener for most of my like formative years. I loved like all genres of music. Shoot, I was listening to pop, rap, indie music, never country though. I can't lie. But
It's popping off now.
I mean, I don't understand it, but to each their own. Feel me? To each their own. Although I will say, country singers, they're really good writers. Like, country songs are really well written. But anyways, I digress. I had a couple of friends. Shout out to Teju. Shout out to Ty. They started making music when I was in the 8th grade. They were in 7th grade. And they were posting it everywhere and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, this was before I became a Christian, though. But, you know, I was seeing them make this stuff. And I had actually taken a stab at it. Like, I tried to record a song, but the process was low-key just, like, too tedious. And I was like, man, forget this. I'm going to leave this to them. But I committed myself to be there, kind of like their ear. Like, they would show me songs before they would drop, and I would let them know, like, hey, you could probably, like, make it sound better if you did this or this. And I feel like I kind of trained my ear to what a good song would sound like. I definitely have always been interested in it, but I never really saw myself like that, like ever doing that, if that makes sense. Like, even with the lunch table freestyles, I was like, man, if you know, you know. The lunch table freestyles are so goated, bro. But like, I was the beat maker. I was the one who would be banging on the table and making the beats. I would never hop in the freestyle because like I didn't have anything to say. I had nothing to say. So.
Now, when you're finally about to release this first song, was there any fear at all of posting that?
Gosh.
That stops a lot of artists from ever even starting.
Yes. Yes. Don't ever let anyone fool you into thinking that like dropping music is like not like a nerve-wracking thing, especially when you're first starting, because Lord knows I thought I was gonna get clowned. I thought I was gonna get dogged on, bro. Like, wow. Especially because like I was a little more known in my school. Like I was friends with everybody, so it's like I just felt like there was eyes on me. Like no matter what I was doing,
Yeah.
I didn't want to like come off corny or come off like, oh, look at Efosa, he's trying to, you know what I'm saying, do something, you know?
Which is funny, the whole idea of like, oh, he's trying to do something,
Yeah.
and that's a reason to clown people. But go on, yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you how I overcame that too, but I remember like, shoot, I was sitting in my room. I think I had just finished a song. I'm like, man, I'm gonna put this on SoundCloud. Rub my hands together like these, press the button. It was out there in the world. But I'm like, bro, no one's finna see this if I don't like promo it.
Yeah.
So what I did was I threw it on my Snapchat story. I said, I dropped the song. Go listen to it if you want. Turned off my phone. I threw it across the room. I left it like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, okay, cool. We just did this. This is crazy. This is OD. And that song, I think now is sitting at like, shoot, maybe 20,000 streams on
That's impressive.
SoundCloud.
Yeah.
So that song was terrible though. But like, that song was trash.
Still 20,000 is a lot, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was I was very fearful. I just thought that, you know, people would like dog on me. And I was really scared of what people would say about me at the time. Like I held people's opinions of me in high esteem. It was a thing before I came to Christ. It was a thing whilst I was in Christ. And it's still a thing I kind of struggle with even to this day. But, you know what I'm saying, we growing, we getting better. So, yeah. The thing that kind of helped me to really, like, stop being scared.
Yeah.
Because for a long while, even when I was actually starting to consistently drop music, I say consistently in like, quotations because it wasn't that consistent, but it was, like, what I used to do is I used to make faceless videos. So like I would take like clips off of YouTube and like put my songs in the background and just throw it out there and maybe put some like lyrics on the screen. And I was super scared to show my face again because I'm like, bro, if they can attach this to me, like they're gonna call me like a corny Christian rapper, bro. Like I'm finna lose my reputation at school. Like I'm fried. But then I think I just woke up one day and I just realized like, man, like I'm not that important to be honest. Like I don't think anyone cares. And who's just like, what are they gonna have to say if this actually becomes something, you know? So, man, I stopped being scared. I started just posting, started putting my face on video. Started putting myself out there more. And by God's grace, like it's grown by a lot. So, yeah, thankful for that.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think, that whole perception that you think that people actually care more about your life than they actually do.
Yeah.
It's like that whole, what's the analogy? It's like the pimple problem where you think that everybody in high school sees your pimple, but in actuality, people are more concerned about their own.
Facts.
Like people have their own problems, and especially on social media, they're gonna see that, maybe think about it for a couple minutes, and then scroll off and look at the next thing. And it's really not that deep. And if they do end up carrying it over into seeing you, most people will not clown you in person. Maybe in high school, depending on what friends you have and stuff, and that kind of tells you what friends you have. Yeah. But I struggle with that as well. And even with this podcast, the whole throwing away your phone and just like after posting it, like I have to do that every single time where sometimes I'll listen to myself talk on the podcast and just cringe at myself. And I just have to post it. And then other people will say nice stuff and you tend to be your harshest critic.
100%.
But it takes courage to what you do. And so would you say that Christ helps you at all in what you're doing right now? What's that relationship like?
I'm not gonna lie. If I didn't have Christ, bro, I would not be doing this, like, at all. I would not be doing this. I would not have even, like, I would have never acquired the boldness to even put myself in a position to chase a dream like this. Like, again, like I told you, honestly, when I was growing up, I never really thought that highly of myself. Like, sure, I had a lot of friends who were speaking life into me or whatever, but, like, I saw myself as just, like, average at best. Like, I never really had any dreams growing up, never really had any ambitions. And even if I did, they were very short-lived and I would just move on to the next thing. And even those dreams in and of itself, like, that's all they were. They were just dreams. I never saw myself actually, like, pursuing them. I remember I used to tell my mom I wanted to be an astronaut, bro. That was not happening, bro. I can't lie. But it's like, since coming to Christ, I've acquired a type of boldness that is like, nah, I'm a dare to dream, and I'm a see it through. So shoot, if it weren't for him, like, there's no Efosa, respectfully. So yeah, I owe it all to him.
I love that you said boldness, because that's, in essence, is what I'm trying to do with this podcast, is have different people from different industries that people don't know the behind the scenes, and can be hard to be bold about your faith. And then having people like you that will inspire other people to be more bold. And then while I'm being bold as well, inspire other people. So where does this boldness come from? How does Christ give you boldness to do what you do?
Well, I mean, in the scriptures, it tells us that he did not give us a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind, right? So it's like, I honestly just cling to that. I feel like I feel like that became such a guiding verse for me over the years, that like it's become ingrained in my very person. Like, I just step out and I'm like, it's not a question of like, okay, am I gonna be bold today? It's like, nah, I already have it. Like, I'm already bold, if that makes sense. That's how I see it.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and again, we're like, the Holy Spirit just, from what I understand, is like the Holy Spirit just gives us a boldness where, especially when you know that Christ is one, and if you walk in that, knowing that every day that you have the power to conquer sin with the help of the Holy Spirit, and if you set out to do something and it's in God's will for it to happen, then it's going to happen, regardless of how good you are or anything like that.
Sure.
And yeah, and so now I want to go back to the very beginning of your relationship with Christ. You said that you gave your life to Christ when you were 15. Where were you at before that, and what led you to finally make that decision in giving your life to Christ?
Well, I mean, I grew up in the church. Like, I grew up going to Catholic church with my mom and dad, my brothers as well. And we did that for literally like all of my youth up until COVID. Like, I remember going to church as early as like, shoot, maybe like 3. Like, I have memories of myself in church at like 3 years old. Shoot, I was an altar server for a time. My dad was an usher for a time. Like, we were there, you know what I'm saying? We were in it. But like, my faith was very much my parents' faith. It was not my own. I kind of figured I could piggyback off of them and I'd be straight, you know? And like, there were times where, you know, I'd have interest in like reading the word and stuff like that and getting to know like what it is I actually believe. But again, it would be kind of short-lived, you know? I thought that myself going to church and like staying away from certain things was enough for me to go to heaven. And I thought that I could live however I wanted on every other day but Sunday, you know? I think the shift kind of came during COVID, because I'm not going to lie, like, bro, during pandemic, I was going crazy. Like, I was low-key moving crazy. Like, I would literally play games for like 17 hours a day. And while I'm scrolling on my phone and like, so I would play this one online, this one mobile game called Ulala Idle Adventure. And like, I would have Netflix in the top corner of the screen while I'm playing the game. And then I'd be like stuffing my face with junk food while I'm playing. So it's like, I have the video game, I have the movie or the TV show in the corner, and then I'm just stuffing myself full of junk. I would do that for literally, I want to say like 20 hours out of the day or whatever, like just crazy, crazy amounts of time. I was doing nothing productive. I was just, and if I'm not doing that, I'm doom scrolling, right? I remember like the more I would scroll on TikTok, the more I would see like Christian content on there, you know, and that's kind of where things started to shift a little bit in my head, because a lot of that Christian content was coming from people who were my age, and I'm like, dang, bro, these guys are locked in. I'm like in my house just like playing games and gooning, bro. Like, what's wrong with me? What am I doing? And like, I started to question like this faith that I had held for so long. I'm like, you know, how come my faith is not active like theirs? Like, what are they doing differently from me? But again, these were all just kind of questions I asked in my head. Like, they weren't necessarily anything I thought I would actively act on, you know? And then high school hit. I'm in grade 10 now, 14 turning 15, or maybe I might have been freshly 15 at this time. And it's when I met Tristan, actually. You know, I met him through this girl I was talking to, bro. They happened to be friends. And I remember she introduced us for the first time, and like, I ain't gonna lie, I thought he was kind of scary. That was kind of scary. He thought I was a clown too. Like, we joke about that sometimes, but like, I had no clue that, you know, he and I would, you know, grow as close as we did. And I'm not sure, but I don't think he was like strong in his faith at the time. But something shifted during I guess it would be the second semester of school, where all of a sudden this guy would climb on the cafeteria table to start preaching the gospel to our whole school at lunch. And I'm like, huh? Like, yo, what happened to this guy? Like what's making him want to do this? So, he and I got close. We got in contact, and he started just kind of like pouring life into me. He invited me to this discipleship group. The story behind that group is crazy. But like, for a time, they were very like fruitful with my my faith walk. Again, now I'm surrounded by like people who are my age, like 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, all the way up to like 20, all pursuing Christ, all like reading their Bible daily. Like I'm starting to build like a radical faith. Like one of my accountability leaders was like, yo, like if you really want to get tapped in with the faith, like just blitz the New Testament, just do it, just read it like in like a week. And I did. And like that was so fulfilling, and I started to just naturally want to just do things that I would never even think to do. Like, mind you, this is during the pandemic, during COVID. I would literally get on my bike and drive to like different neighborhoods and just try to find people to talk to about God. Like, yeah. So I think that's where things started to. That's where all of it started.
And so, what did you realize about having to make a decision to put your give your life to Christ? Where did that actually happen? Was there a moment that you remember that was like specifically that something clicked? And
I think that like when I actually like committed myself to try, it wasn't like a big grand spectacle. Like I hear stories sometimes of like, people seeing angels come into their room and stuff like that. Like, so I didn't have anything like that. It was literally just I'm outside on a park bench. This is when I'm about to log in for the first like discipleship group meeting. And I literally just prayed. I said, God, like I have no clue what's about to happen, but I want to give this a go. I want to get to know you more. So yeah, just help me out. That's all I said. And I feel like that's when the regeneration started. I think that like I was able to get to that point because God like revealed to me that this path is not one that you can go down on autopilot. It's about taking one step after another. It's a marathon, right? So I think that's where the shift in mentality came.
if there was a person watching this and was in that similar situation that they've grown up in church their entire life, but their faith wasn't their own and they're piggybacking off their parents, what would you say to that person?
Honestly, it's as simple as just like you gotta realize like life is too short. Like your parents are not gonna save you. Like your parents are not your savior, right? Jesus Christ is your savior, and the longer that you don't know him, the longer that you're kind of fried, bro. I can't lie. So I would tell that person like, if you have had thoughts about getting closer to God, getting to know him on a deeper level, like those thoughts are not coming to you for no reason. Like you best act on those. I can't lie, because ultimately that's gonna result in like a significant change. I feel. Yeah, that's really all I would say. It's I wouldn't overcomplicate it like crazily. I would literally just tell them like, your parents aren't gonna save you. Your parents' faith is not gonna be what redeems you. Like you gotta take that step on your own, for real.
What's the downside if they don't act on those thoughts?
Can't lie. The downside is like, if you live this life apart from Christ, you're choosing eternity apart from him too. I feel like that kind of speaks for itself. So.
And so where does Jesus comes into play in regards to stopping us from spending eternity away from him? Where does he come into play?
Well, I mean, obviously he came down and, he sacrificed his life in order to be that bridge between us and the Lord, because, I mean, I can't lie. Back in the day, way back when, thousands of years ago, you had to jump through, hoops and hurdles in order to even be, worthy to get into the presence of God. But, he sent down his son in order for us to be able to be in his presence, despite our sinful nature, man. I feel like that's a gift. I feel like that's a blessing. He didn't have to do that, you know what I'm saying? Shoot, Lord knows we don't deserve it, you know what I mean? But I feel like that's something to take advantage of, no?
Yeah, how lucky are we that we have a Savior that would put his life down for us when we when we'll never deserve it.
Facts.
Yeah, it says that Christ, when showed his love in this way, that when we are still sinners, he died for us, and that if somebody's looking for unconditional love, like that's right there in that one verse.
Facts.
Now I want to talk about the reality of the music industry. What is it about the music industry from a secular point of view that people don't understand? Like, what are the behind the scenes that people might not be seeing that you might have had experienced before?
That's a good question.
Like, what makes it hard to be a Christian in that type of industry?
I think a lot of people have favorite artists, but I don't think that you would be friends with your favorite artist, if that makes sense.
Why is that?
Like let's say you're a secular listener, right? I feel like a lot of the artists that y'all listen to, if you knew them outside of music, you would not like these people. I can't lie, just because a lot of people carry a lot of baggage with them. You can hear it on the music too, you know. And it's like we put these people on a pedestal, but at the end of the day, they're all broken just like us. I feel like that's something that some people don't really necessarily like realize. It kind of makes it difficult to be a Christian in the space because it's like you're entering a place that's primarily ruled by people with, you know what I'm saying, no morals. The ones at the top are the ones who are completely adverse to Christ. You know what I'm saying? Like they just don't rock that way at all. And they don't allow space for that either. You know? Why like I don't know why. I don't think people really stop to realize why the biggest songs are the ones that are like the most low vibrational. Like they're the ones that are talking about like, you know, killing people, peddling drugs, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like it's honestly, it's very detrimental to society overall. It's a net negative. So, I mean, shoot, the Christian artists are coming through to try and bring some light to the space, trying to bring some light to the industry. And it's a little bit hard when, you know, the rest of it's so dark, you know?
What do you think that God is trying to do with you being in that space? How do you think he's using you right now?
I like to think of my music as a bridge because my music, I feel like, can be enjoyed by the Christian and by the non-Christian. But my hope is that, like, it would at least, if my music is enough to at least make a non-Christian ask themselves, like, okay, what does Christ have to offer me? I feel like that's a win. You know, if a seed can be planted even to that minuscule amount, like, that's a W to me. So, my music, I think, is a bridge over from one side to another. I also think that it's like, I want to get the lukewarm Christian asking themselves some questions too. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, man, my thing is like, one of the main things that deterred me from actually pursuing Christ like fully at the start was like having to change my music. I can't lie. That was a big thing for me. I was like, man, I'm gonna have to listen to this like every day, bro. This is crazy. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, what would I have had to say if I actually stumbled upon like really enjoyable music? Like, what would I have had to say? Like, nothing. I would have had no excuse at that point to really get deeper. So that's how I think the Lord is using my stuff. And I've had a couple friends tell me, like, they're friends now, but, you know, I've had a couple friends tell me, like, yo, like, your music actually helped me get closer to the Lord. You know, like, I'm really thankful that you're doing this and you should continue. And that's really good motivation to hear, so.
What's that feeling like when you hear that God is using you to plant seeds? How does that make you feel?
I don't think there's really like there's no feeling like it, I think, you know, because it's very odd though, I will say, you know, because I still just think of myself as just a regular guy. It's like, bro, hearing that something I made in my bedroom is like helping people in that way is really fulfilling. I think being used by God in any capacity has always been a very fulfilling feeling to me. And it makes me not want to stop, like, ever. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's looking I'm like addicted to making music at this point. You know, I don't think I'll ever stop. So I'm very thankful that I get to feel this way because some people, you know, they have a passion and, you know, they never really get to a point where like it feels like this or it's like contributing like this. So.
Is there ever a struggle between like your music career and your relationship with God? Is there ever like a fight between that and what you're prioritizing?
I think at the start, when I really start to get passionate with it, more often than not, I would run to my microphone before running to God if I was going through something, you know? I felt like it would have, but that's the funny thing though, is like, apart from Christ, I can never really contextualize anything in music. Like it just comes out as gibberish. Like how could I like illustrate this? This is like, it's like trying to be Ben 10 without the watch. You know what I'm saying? Like it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Oftentimes when like I'm having writer's block or like I'm not able to lay anything down, it honestly just speaks to the quality of my relationship with God at the time. So I have to go back to the drawing board and go back to the source and get that fixed up. You know, I think that in recent years I've started to, have a better balance. I realize like this is not flowing from me; it's flowing through me from a different source. So it's like I gotta remain tapped in if I really want to continue. So
What do you do in regards to strengthening your relationship with Christ?
I mean, honestly, I don't really overcomplicate it. I spend time with God like I spend time with like my friend, just tapping in, being consistent, like genuinely and genuinely being present. I feel like it's a struggle, but it's also like the key, because if you come to Christ as part of a routine or part of a series of events, just a list of things to do, then it becomes very mechanical, and your relationship becomes very mechanical too. It becomes just like another thing to check off the list, right? It's about being actively present, and present and curious. It's kind of like how we're sitting right now. You know what I'm saying? You asking me questions about like my life and stuff like that, getting to know me, I'm getting to know you better and stuff like that. And it's like I do the same thing with the Lord. So I think, even the way I pray is very unfiltered. Kind of just say what's on my mind, and that's how I talk to the Lord. So
For me in my prayer life, I find it to be the ones where, sometimes there's like a structure of like being thankful for this and saying, this is what I'm hoping for, and then God, only if it's in your will. But then sometimes it's just like my head to like my forehead to the couch and just saying nothing and just like
facts.
I don't know, like it says that the Holy Spirit is going to intercede for us when we don't know what to say, and God knows what we need prayer for before we even say it. And so it's the completely unfiltered ones where you're just crying out, and sometimes I feel like those can be the most powerful ones because it's not something that you're just crossing off out, and you're just being vulnerable with God, and that's what He wants from you.
It's interesting you say that because like I've had friends tell me before, like, oh, like I'm not good at praying, and like I feel like that's such a silly thing to say because it's like, I don't know, you're talking to me right now, and you're coherent in how you're talking to me.
Yeah,
like just do the same thing with the Lord. I feel like even when you don't know what to say, the Lord knows your heart desires before you know them, right? So it's like, just talk to Him, bro. Just talk to Him. Even if you don't know what to say, just tell Him like, God, I'm not gonna lie, I have no clue what to tell you right now or what to talk about right now, but shoot, I just need you. Lord knows how many times I've prayed that exact prayer word for word. Like, just chat to Him. I don't think a good prayer and a bad prayer exist. I don't think that's not a thing.
as long as you're just honest with God, like, and I think that's the thing where if you're talking to somebody else, like you can hide some stuff and filter some stuff, but when you're in prayer with God, there's nothing you can hide. Maybe you can out loud hide it, but God knows all your thoughts. Like there's nothing you can hide it, and I think that can sometimes stress people out, and they just think that not praying to Him is gonna hide whatever they're guilty of or whatever. But like that's not gonna do anything. You're just deciding to take steps away from God instead of He just wants you to be there with Him.
No, for sure.
Was there, in this journey with your music career and also in your faith, has there been any low points since you've come into your relationship with Christ?
Man, I can't even lie to you. Like, man, last year I was thinking about killing myself, bro. Like, it was actually very rough. I had a very rough year. That was very strange to navigate. I don't even think I was making music at the time. Like, that was a very low point. There have been several since I came to Christ. And like, they've always been very strange to navigate. I think for one, like musically, like if we start musically, it's been strange to navigate because growing up, I was never really the best with I never really had a good example of what vulnerability looked like at home. So it's something I had to like kind of teach myself. And it's looking something I'm still not the best at. And especially with my music, like being vulnerable on a song and like actually speaking on some real stuff of how I'm feeling is very difficult for me to do. I don't know why, but it's like almost like a blockade there still. So I mean, shoot, I've been able to do a little bit of that on this album I'm working on, but that's always been kind of difficult. Now navigating that spiritually is just like it's like walking through the desert, you know. It's like walking through a barren wasteland. Like, man, you look to your left, there's nothing. You look to your right, there's nothing. All you feel is just pressure and heat, you know what I'm saying? And, like, void, you know? And I know especially last year, like, 2025, this time in 2025, or last month in 2025, in April, I genuinely was standing on the roof of my dorm, because I used to live in Vancouver, standing on the roof of my dorm, and I was just weighed down by, like, the weight of all of my burdens, all of my mistakes. I genuinely looked skyward, and I was like, Lord, like, how could you redeem me now? Those are the exact words that left my mouth. And I was finna jump. I can't lie. I was about to just jump. But I was like, I just couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. And it's like, at that point, I felt so totally, like, completely by myself and, like, alone. And I was like, I don't know how I can move on from this situation. Like, I don't know what I could do. I felt like I had no one to talk to, including the Lord. And even when I did talk about it, how I was feeling, or talk to him about how I was feeling, it's like I felt like nothing was changing, or like nothing could, you know, be done about it. So, dang, I ain't gonna lie, it brought me to a point to where I thought that if I was gone, it would be better for everybody, you know. Ended up crying myself to sleep that night. And then what the Lord did was he actually sent it's like he sent an angel into my life, you know? Like, I was supposed to catch a flight back to Calgary that morning. I forgot to set my alarm. I just cried myself to sleep and just didn't. I slept through my alarm or whatever. But I woke up at the exact time that I was supposed to, if I wanted to leave and get to the airport on time. I got to the airport and I met a guy there. Like, I just in passing, he was the only other black guy in the terminal. So I just nodded my head at him and that was it. The Lord wound up seating me with him on the plane. We sat right beside him. We had a conversation for the entire flight, and I don't know, I just ended up telling him everything about what I was going through. Like, told him about how, like, I was literally on my roof, like, last night, and he just spoke so much life into me, you know, and he prayed for me, and, like, I was just like, bro, this is crazy. Like, I'm like, this is OD. Like, how could this, man, I was asking myself, like, Lord, how could you redeem me now? And it's like he answered, like, the same night. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'll never forget that. But yeah, it was very tough, that time period. I feel like everything leading up to it was very tough. I was dealing with loneliness. I was dealing with, like, just, again, barren spiritual life. I was resenting God. I was like, man, like, you don't even show up when I talk to you. Like, I don't want nothing to do with you. You know what I'm saying? Real spill. I was living life on my own terms, just like coping in sin. And yeah.
Well, I'm glad that God answered that prayer for you, because God knows how many people have been at that spot and don't know how to act. And what would you say to the person who might be experiencing that right now and is in that desert and feels like God's not with them, doesn't care about them, can't be redeemed? What would you tell yourself now if you had the opportunity?
So if I could go back in time and talk to myself during that time, I'd probably say some not nice things to myself. But, like, I would also say, like, it will get better. Because I've always been a pretty optimistic guy. Like, honestly, to the tragic degree, you know? But during that time, I was just completely hopeless. You know, I did not think that it would get better. But the Lord showed me a light at the end of the tunnel, even despite that. You know, I think that, man, it's not the Lord's will that we suffer. Like, or I shouldn't say that. I should say it's not the Lord's will that we go through trials and suffer without him there. You know, he's always there. Even when he doesn't feel close, he's there. That's something to take note of and be mindful of, right? The Bible tells us to count it all joy when we encounter suffering, right? But sometimes, like, you're not joyful when you're going through the fire. but just know that it's all working together for good, right? Like if I hadn't gone through what I went through, I wouldn't be able to talk about it now. You know, maybe I could help somebody by speaking on it. You know, um, shoot, I would just tell you like keep going, like keep going, keep going, keep going, because truthfully, even when you feel like you have no value, you do. You know, and your value is not even something that you could dictate. That's something that the Lord placed on you before you were even born. You know, the reason I'm still here is because I have something to accomplish. I feel, and that's what the Lord showed me last year. So that's what I would say. Yeah, it's crazy because I've always been like a pretty joyful guy. Like never really had like mental health problems before. Um, like bro, if you talk to people, they'll tell you I've never seen Efosa sad, never seen Efosa angry. Like he always has a smile on his face, you know. So nobody would have ever expected that I was going through that. Um, but shoot, I was, man. So check up on your friends, man. You don't know what they're going through. Real spill.
Was that perception from your friends that you're always happy kind of held you back from talking to them? Like you didn't want to break that perception?
I think that was low key part of it. But I think more than anything, what it did was kind of just fuel this idea like there was something wrong with me, you know? I'm like, bro, like what happened to me? Like I used to be, you know, saying like the way that these people are describing me, but I'm not right now. Like what's going on? Like what's going on? You know, I feel like it honestly, it might have thrown me deeper into despair, if anything. Yeah.
Was there, sorry, that was a lot. And I appreciate you being vulnerable. Like that's not an easy thing to do. What do you feel like God has taught you now on the other side of that trial? What have you taken away and that like still sits with you to this day?
I think it's the idea that like God is bigger than our problems. He's bigger than our mistakes. You know, he's bigger than our burdens, and he's reliable. You know, I think that's the main thing. That's the main thing, and I'm really just trying to keep the main thing, because you know when you try to, you know, jug it out on your own and you know, live life on your own terms, you know, through your own understanding, you will fall into where I fell into. I feel, to be honest. So yeah, yeah. I think also the reason why I was even able to get there in the first place to such a low state was because of this standard that I had held over myself, you know? I had to be better than perfect. And when I did not meet that standard, you know, through making mistakes and like fumbling and stuff like that, shoot, it weighed on me a lot, you know? So it's like I had to I had to look at my life through God's lens, not my own. That's what I'm still learning to this day. And yeah.
Amen. I saw on some of your posts across your different social medias that you've also had your share of health scares and been to a couple of trips in the hospital. What has your relationship with Christ been through that? What were those health scares, if you're okay with talking about? Because
Yeah.
those are low points that a lot of people, those are trials in themselves.
Yeah. So shoot, my first ever trip to the hospital, I was 9 years old. That was trip number 1 out of 8 over the course of the next 10 years. So to this day, doctors don't know what was wrong with me, or rather, they knew what was wrong with me, but they didn't know what would cause it. Right? It was I don't know if you're familiar with rhabdomyolysis. Yeah, basically, it's like let's say you were to work out super vigorously, like overwork your muscles to the maximum degree, they essentially start to break down. And like that muscle breakdown enters your bloodstream and it can clog up your kidneys and like kill you. You know what I'm saying? But me, like, bro, how could I overwork myself when I'm 9 years old? The most I would do is play on the playground, bro. So I don't know why that would happen to me. But yeah, you know, I wound up in the hospital that time. The first time I thought it was chill. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, you know, I'm in the hospital. Like, this is cool. Like, I've been seeing this in movies. They gave me an Xbox. They gave me a PlayStation. I was playing games all day. I was chilling, eating food. The next time was in grade 8. That was not that much. That wasn't like as fun. I still wasn't like super bummed. I was chilling. And for me, next year, grade 9, it happened again. I'm like, okay, what's going on? Like, this is getting a little freaky now. The next time it was in grade 11, I'm like, hold on. Like, am I good? Like, what's going on with me? And this was after I had come to Christ. So now, grade 11, I feel like is when things start to shift a little bit, because I'm like, okay, something's going on here. Like, this is terrible, you know. But I don't think I was really thinking about how many times I had pulled up to the hospital at that point. It was more so just like why? Like, I'm like, God, like, why are you letting this happen to me? You know? So I feel like always during those, like from that point onward, every single time I would pull up to the hospital and I'd, have my little 2-week stay or whatever, I would just ask God, like, why? And I look, he would start to like resent him a little bit. Like, bro, like, this is trash. Like, how you letting this happen to me? You feel me? Then again, it happened in grade 12. I actually missed my my grad banquet because I was at home recovering. I wasn't able to go. I thought that was so like terrible. You know what I'm saying? Seeing my mom in my room like crying every night was just so D. I'm like, bro, this is ridiculous. Like, can't believe this is happening. Yeah. So I feel like every single time I would stay in the hospital, I would just be like, bro, this is terrible. This is trash. And then my most recent time, it happened twice in less than a year. In first year, it happened during winter break of first year university, and then it happened again in the summer leading into second year, and that caused me to quit football. Like, I had to stop playing because the doctors were like, "Yo, if you come back here like more and more, eventually your kidneys are gonna give out. Like your kidneys are cool now, like they're good now, but like if you continue to have these episodes, like we can't guarantee that you'll be good." And like what basically caused it was like it was being physically active while sick for whatever reason. Those things combined together, and I would stay in the hospital for like a week and a half or 2 weeks. Yeah, I honestly, it's funny because I would ask God why, and like there would be periods of time where I wouldn't like really talk to him as much when I was in the hospital, but overall, like I never really like was worried about like dying or like succumbing to the sickness or whatever. I always knew I would be fine, if that makes sense. Like I had a trust that I would be fine, but I was just confused as to why this was happening to me. I ain't gonna lie, to this day, like I don't really know. It could be a spiritual attack, it could be something like that, but I really don't know. Yeah.
And you said that because of this, because it was the same thing, like the muscle thing every single time you go to the hospital. And then, yeah, I saw that you played football and you played at a high level. You played for the UBC Thunderbirds, right? Yeah. With this disease ending your football career, what was that feeling like? Because that a lot of athletes, their sports journeys get called to an end because of health issues, too many injuries and stuff like that. But what was your mindset like when you got that news? Because that's a really tough place for an athlete.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a little bit odd because I already kind of had thoughts about like quitting beforehand. Not because I wasn't good or because I didn't enjoy it or anything like that, but I just was wondering if I could maybe be doing more. Like with the music was what I was thinking about mostly at the time, and just having more time to like evangelize and things of that nature. So I already had thoughts in my head of like, man, like should I keep on playing or should I just call it a career? And then I ended up in the hospital. The doctor told me that. I'm like, oh shoot, this is crazy. I kind of took it as like maybe my prayer being answered, but like in like a odd kind of backwards way. I had that conversation with my coach. He fully understood, but then he ended up like inviting me back, not to play but to shoot film for our team. So I used to go to every single practice, and they'd put me up in this like scissor lift. I'd be up in the air, like 100 feet in the air with a camera, just like recording the different groups doing their stuff during practice. And I'd record like home games too. And I'm not gonna lie, like I kind of had found some semblance of peace, I feel, with being separated from the game, but then being back in the mix and seeing like my teammates doing what I loved just kind of like it like hurt. I didn't know what to do with myself, to be honest with you. And that time period, I feel like contributed a lot to like uh, last year when I, was going through like those suicidal ideations and stuff like that. Cause I'm like, bro, what am I like? What am I if I'm not playing football or like making music? Cause I was going through a writer's block spell during that time too. I wasn't really making anything new. So I'm like, bro, I'm cooked. Like this is fried. Like who is Efosa if he doesn't have these things, right? It kind of forced me to start seeing myself in a different light. Even amid my problems, like I realized like I'm more than just a game, and I'm more than just like having a mic in my hand. Like I'm God's child for me. So um, I was actually even plotting a comeback for my second year this last year, but I'm not gonna lie, I ended up not going through with it. I was like, I feel like I'm at peace with who I am now, so I'll be chill.
Do you feel like that low after God takes away sports from you? Do you think that that's something that a lot of people struggle with, and like the suicidal thoughts and stuff?
Yeah,
Why do you think that is?
because imagine if you grew up your whole life having a skill or having an ability that was super highly touted, and your coaches and your teachers and your friends are affirming like that within you. They're affirming that instead of affirming you, you know? So then boom, that then gets taken away from you. Who are you at that point? I feel like that's why we see a lot of athletes like at a super high level, like in the NFL or in the NBA, they retire or they, can't play or get injured for whatever reason and they take their life. It's because like they never had a chance to get to know who they were outside of the game. I've had my own friends tell me about how, you know, them losing the opportunity to play set them to a dark place where they're now experimenting with drugs or, coping with like girls and stuff like that. And by God's grace, a lot of them have been pulled out of that. But I think that's what it comes down to. It's like when you have a trait about you that's more affirmed than you yourself, you know. And I think it goes past sports too. Like it goes into just like interpersonal relationships. Like imagine if all I heard growing up was like, "Oh, Foster, you have a great smile," and then I got punched and I lost all my teeth. I'd be cheesed. I'd be cooked at that point. So I think that's what it is.
Right now, there's a lot of people graduating university. Like I graduated high school about 4 years ago, so most of my friends are graduating right now,
Yeah.
and there's people in high school that are graduating right now. And whether in high school or university, a lot of those athletes, their careers are done. Not a lot of people make it past the um, university level, and they're getting hit with that reality that that identity that they had in sports is gone.
Yeah.
What would you say to that person who is in that like desert that they just don't know what they're going to do with their life? They don't know who they are outside of the sport. What would you say to that person?
I would say embrace the journey, because there's so much that life has to offer. I feel like a lot of Christians, for example, are in a rush to get to heaven, which I can understand. But I feel like God puts so much stuff on the earth for us to enjoy, and like embrace the journey, man. Like go see the world, go see what it has to offer you. For me, go talk to people, go acquire new experiences and new worldviews and new perspectives. I feel like it'll make you a better person than your sport ever would make you. So that's what I think I would tell that person.
That makes sense. Was there anything that you think about your journey, about the music industry, about Christ that you feel like we haven't covered that you think is important for a person watching to hear?
I think stewardship, especially being like an independent artist, like stewardship is key. Like if you can't handle the little, you won't be able to handle a lot. Um, I think that what God is teaching me right now is how to be a better steward of everything. Like a better steward of my finances, a better steward of my talents. A better steward of my platform. That's something that He's really hammering home, and I think that it kind of goes for anybody in any space, whether it be music or whether it be like just in life in general. You know, you should put an emphasis on being a good steward, right? Be the servant who multiplies his talents, not buries them. So
Amen. Yeah, that's And I've said this before at other episodes, but we've all been giving blessings and opportunities and gifts that it's he's given us the responsibility to do again to multiply, like you said. And I don't want to be the person that gets to heaven and he says that I gave you all this and you did nothing with that. Like that idea is terrifying to me, and I think a lot of people are worried about that as well. To land every episode, I ask every guest 3 questions to end it off. The first 2 are just yes and no, and then the last one is to elaborate on the last questions. The first question is, Efosa, is your relationship with Christ where you want it to be right now?
No.
Is the second question, is your relationship with Christ where Christ wants it to be right now?
Oh shoot. I would say no.
And so why the 2 no's for the questions?
I think like I want to be so close to the Lord that like it's like I feel His hand on my shoulder like when I walk out the house every day. That's how close I want to be to Him, and I would like to think that He wants to be that close to me too. So that's why I would say no, just because I don't think I don't think I'm there yet. Like he and I, we're tapped in. Like don't get it twisted now, but I just feel like we could go deeper, and I want to go deeper. So
What's stopping you from getting there?
I think it's fear. I don't know if I've ever been that vulnerable with a person ever. So it's like there's a little bit of apprehensiveness. Maybe it's from lived experience, like being disappointed by, friends and family in the past. It kind of just makes it a little bit more difficult. But I would say that's probably it. It's probably like a little bit of fear. But I mean, there's nothing to fear. Like the Lord has never failed me before, so and He's never put me to shame, and He never will. So, yeah.
And there's nobody in the entire world that's ever going to love you more than Christ, and that's just the reality. And yeah, I think a lot of people will get disappointed by sinful humans and imperfect humans, and then take that experience and then think that it applies to God, which is like, that keeps people away from coming to Christ, from coming to church. And it's unfortunate that we put those standards that we have, like human standards, on God. Like He's perfect. He's never going to fail you. Like maybe He sometimes is quiet. Maybe sometimes He says no to what you're praying for, but He's always doing that out of love. And that's, God is love. That's who He is. And how lucky are we? Do we have a God that loves us like that? So is there anything I could be praying for you, or the audience can be praying for you at this season of your life?
Honestly, my earnest prayer is just that I want to be I want to be more of a vessel than I am now. Like a vessel for righteous use. That's my only prayer, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm praying I can be the same way, and I will. Thank you so much, Efosa, for being here.
My pleasure, man.
Thank you guys for joining another episode, and I pray that, again, it's another episode that I pray that a seed was planted in you guys for either to come to Christ, to step away from lukewarmness and take your relationship with Christ seriously, to go out to church, to go join groups. And if you're somebody who hasn't experienced the love of Christ, I ask that you just pray, because I know that a lot of people are feeling lost right now, especially with graduation. And if there's anybody who has an identity, who has set the identity before He even created the world, it's Christ. And you have an identity as a child of God. And I pray that you discover that. Thank you guys so much for joining. Until next time, stay bold and stay blessed.
Sir.